And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
Together we are the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename, so we've got that going for us too.
And we're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
Can confirm I was out sick last week and the show didn't happen.
Today is our 40th episode.
And it's our first episode of year 2.
You mean we've been doing this for a full year?
Yep, since May 6, 2021.
Wow. Wait, how do we only manage 39 episodes?
Listen, I've only missed one, and that was last week.
Right, okay. Anyway, welcome to Season 2.
So to celebrate, I assume that you have come with some stats for us.
What, stats?
You know, like the number of questions asked.
No.
Number of questions answered?
Nope.
Number of unique viewers?
I don't know.
The number of one-man shows?
Oh, 0. They always end up asking questions.
Well, I guess that's better than nothing.
0 is technically nothing.
Oh.
Anyway, we are here to answer your development and design questions about Idle Champions.
And if you don't ask any questions, however, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of yesterday's windstorm.
Oh. Rusty.
Well, that was less exciting than we'd all hoped.
Like you could do any better.
Listen, I know my limits. As always, we've pulled some questions for you from the previous week's show, which I'm going to bring up here as my account just signed out. Always happens. And we're going to answer those while we wait for new questions to come in. And I got some updates from issues we'd flagged for the dev team. So without any further ado, let's get started with those. All right, so I've got 2 fixes here that were implemented that were actually from not last week's show, but the previous show. And that was the request that there be an average eye levels displayed on the collection screen. So that, to my understanding, is now live, probably on the Steam version and future versions coming soon, as well as the option to sort time gate selections by year. So we have some ongoing items still. Obviously, the Shop 3 test is still ongoing. We are still working on improvements for that, and we should get some additional changes rolled out in the next week. We're still looking to put objective details on the multi-parties display. We're still working on the Briv skip cap, feat, and the dismantle champion system, which we previewed last episode, is just on the verge of being ready to release. We're in the final testing phase. So it will be out soon, but given that we have a long weekend here, Monday is a holiday for us, we're not going to roll it out over the weekend and then leave it just in case something goes wrong. So that will likely be going out early next week, barring any discoveries of other things, part of it that don't work. But I'm confident it'll be early next week.
Yes. Yeah. And the reason that's been delayed is just because we've been obviously we want to make sure it's right, and we've also been implementing a lot of changes based on feedback from the community. So, you know, when we announced it or showed it off last time, there was a lot of really good feedback, and we've taken some of that and put it in there. So,
yeah, definitely. Okay.
Cool. Let's do some questions from our prior show, which I guess was 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we'll just start out with those. The first one here is actually about the dismantle thing. It's from Remus2, and they have a suggestion. They say, on the dismantle screen, it should state clearly that it can only be used once per character to avoid anyone thinking that they can min-max and finding out after the fact that they can't move things back and forth until it's too late.
I mean, that seems like a fair statement. Certainly as part of the dismantling confirmation, we'll make sure that that's in there, because I don't think that that is clearly stated currently.
Yeah, we can do another pass of that. The real challenge there is really no matter how clearly we think we have stated it in there, there will definitely be someone who does not clearly read what we have clearly stated. So we'll have to just make sure that is super duper in your face.
For sure.
Let's see. Next champion here.
Next question.
Next question here. Sorry, I'm reading the question and putting words from the question into the question while I'm reading. Anyway, it's from Drezog. And they say, aside from the champion levels, which I think I discussed last episode, is there any design decision you made early on that you wish you had decided differently on?
And specifically for people who didn't catch last week's or the previous episode, the question around champion levels was, or the statement around champion levels was, that was a design decision to make the levels all cost different amounts to start.
Yeah, different amounts to start, and then different scaling for every champion.
Was something you wished you had not done.
I thought it would be interesting, and it turned out to just be confusing.
And so this question is, are there any additional ones you made early on that you decided differently on?
That champion one is, well, I mean, I guess one thing that we still haven't gotten right is tanking and healing, and we took a second stab at that later on in the design, about a year in, and it's still not good. It's still just not super compelling to have tanks out, and the balance is all off due to several reasons.
Yeah, I can't say anything else comes to mind immediately for me, but we have to think on that one. Come back to it later. Okay, moving on now. Next question here is from Draken1972, and Draken asks, do you know when the next champ will be released? In other words, Champion 101.
I'm so glad we copied this question in from 2 weeks ago, because I do know the answer. It's yesterday. Dungeon Master, or not Dungeon Master, Nordum the Modron is now out, and you should definitely go get him. He levels up your Modron cores faster, which is good, because you might need that, because there might be more Modron cores coming out, in addition to the Magic core that was also released yesterday.
I find that's kind of a tongue twister of a name. Nordum the Modron. It doesn't flow.
Yeah. Well, he's actually got a different last name that I saw in the data, but I don't remember what it is. But yes.
Okay.
Backwards Modron.
Next question here we have is from JDog2773. And the question is DM meant to allow 4 champs on the field in a variant that is limited to only 2 on the field?
So I read this question before. I was trying to figure out if they meant exactly what they asked, or if they meant something else. So Dungeon Master is allowed to be used in any variant. Well, assuming we've fixed whatever bug it was that caused him to not be allowed to be used in any variant. But he doesn't change the actual variant requirements otherwise. So if the variant only allows 2 champions to be placed on the field, then that variant restriction remains in place. So you might just have more variants to choose, or more champions to choose from, but you'd still only be able to place 2 in your actual formation, which is on the field. If there was a variant that was restricted down to just 2 champions or just 1 champion, like Caddy alone, for example, then DM would allow you to use both Caddy Bree and DM, and Special Guest Star, or one of DM's specializations, would allow you to bring a 3rd champion in, and you would be able to use all 3 of those in the field unless there was some sort of restriction that made the formation just 1 slot, which I think there might be on Caddy alone, because I don't think I'm not sure if there is. You might be able to place her anywhere in the formation, which means you could have more champions in the field in that case. But if there's an actual restriction that limits the number of characters in the field, then or in the formation, then you would not be able to increase that.
Okay. Next question here is from Sir Lunchalot. And Sir Lunchalot asks, are there plans on reworking the Trials rewards? I have to pay 32 vials for T7 and got 2 vials back. Seems a bit unrewarding.
Yes. So the answer is yes. There are some plans to rework the trial rewards. They're part of sort of the bigger sort of trial tweaks update that keeps on getting pushed aside for other things. But I think we've got some time on the schedule to work on that later this month, and hopefully we will be able to have that time and work on it. And one of the big changes is to rebalance the rewards and the costs for adventures, for trials adventures, or trials campaigns rather, including I think it's in the tweaks that we're planning to change how campaigns are paid for, just on a larger scale there. So take from that what you will, that vague statement.
Okay. All right, moving on to questions from this week. First new question is from Super Fluffy Kitty asking, could all Modron cores be changed to be endlessly levelable? In other words, you can keep leveling the core higher than 15 for some benefit. Maybe more Modron chests is leveled up or some other thing.
Yeah, I think that's something that's been asked before, and I think that's probably like a pretty good idea. I don't know, I can't speak to specifically what kind of rewards there would be or what other kind of benefits there would be, but I do like that idea, especially with Nordum in game and there being kind of a way to speed up the leveling of cores. I think having some more levels to get on them could be interesting. So yeah, that could be something in the future. I don't want to put a timeline on anything like that because it hasn't even entered sort of design yet. And our design to implementation lag is getting larger and larger as we sort of plan further and further into the future.
Okay, next question, also from Super Fluffy Kitty. The current achievement, fully supercharge all possible outputs in a Motron core with at least, what is that? 524 million? 200 flow, is impossible. What changes to Modron going forward do you have planned to make this possible? Shiny Modron pieces? GE Modron pieces? Some aforementioned level up endless system that would give your Modron a starting flow boost?
Yeah, so I mean, I knew I was going to get this question with Supercharge. It's definitely not possible, I don't think, in the current cores. There may be cores in the future that make it more possible. Sort of the way that you would end up needing to do that is you need to, get your flow around and multiply it up without hitting any outputs and while leaving space to get back to those outputs. That's really the strategic way that you would do that. So you need a lot of, in addition to needing a lot of the right pipes for that, you would also need the right kind of core layout for that. Now, there are a bunch of core layouts that we have planned for sort of upcoming things. So there'll be more core options, and there might be a core in the future that allows that. I haven't designed any specifically with that in mind. That achievement was kind of designed as, this makes sense as an achievement, but I don't know that it's necessarily possible right now. And certainly in my playing, it's definitely possible to get all nodes supercharged, or all possible nodes supercharged, but not fully supercharged at this point from my testing. So it's definitely something that we will monitor and strive for, and hopefully one day there will be some way to get that, but not currently. The next question is kind of similar to that, so I think we can probably skip over that one.
Okay, you want to skip on to question 7 then?
No, question 3 here.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Next question then here is from, it's emote with 2 M's.
It is emote with 2 M's.
I get it wrong every bloody time. The mass increase in damage due to legendaries and now supercharged cores is making the lack of scaling on tanks and healers more of an issue each week. Is another tanking and healing balance pass something we might see after the 5-year balance pass? And on that note, Celise could use to do with overwhelm and health feats. She doesn't have any.
Oh, Celise. I thought we double checked that all the tanks had overwhelm feats. I guess we missed Celise. So the answer to this is, actually I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast, is something that we still haven't gotten right. So yeah, tanking and healing, it's really the healing part of it that it's the healing part and the monster damage part. Those don't scale, while health does scale with all sorts of things. Like the Modron cores, it scales in there with potions. There's a lot of feats that scale up health, but there's not a lot of stuff that scales up healing, and monster damage does not come close to keeping up. The only way that it keeps up is by when you get sort of past the cap, it starts to scale ridiculously quickly. Yeah, I think this is something that we're going to have to address in the coming time, or in the coming months and years. Sort of a next big balance pass on that. At this point, I do not know exactly what kind of changes we're going to make there, but it's something that we're definitely going to have to address. And it looks like we're going to be running a giveaway as soon as I announce it. Oh, this is fun. I get to control when it starts. So we're going to be doing a giveaway in the Twitch chat. What'll happen is you'll type in a keyword, which I will tell you, and the raffle will open. You type in the keyword, and you'll be entered into the raffle for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice. You can choose any type of chest except for Gloria Bahamut chests. You can choose gold chests if you just want items for your core champions. You can choose patron chests. You could choose a specific champions chest. You can choose Modron component chests, which would be the one that I would choose. You could choose silver chests, I guess, if you don't like gear or item levels. So yeah, that giveaway is going to start right now-ish. And the keyword is season 2. So type season 2 into chat as soon as chat says that the thing has started, and that'll run for a couple of minutes, and then we'll announce a winner in chat. So there you go. I did it, Martin. I announced it. You're welcome.
Huh? Okay.
Let's continue on to the next question.
Sure. The next question here from Emote is about the color of the supercharge flow, which, if I remember, we had at least some level of discussion around what that ended up being. It looks like we landed on red. So the question here is, can max supercharge flow be changed from red? Because it looks like it's overheating.
Yeah, so we kind of did it based on kind of general rarity colors. So it goes to orange when it starts to supercharge, and then when you get up to max, it goes to a red. It is a different red from the overheating, and we did do a little comparison. It's a very bright red when it's overheating, and it's a much more dim red when it's supercharging, or when it's fully supercharged. Now, admittedly, it's understandable that there are some color issues there, especially for people who have trouble differentiating different shades of red, which is a pretty common thing. It's hard to, there just aren't a lot of really good colors. I see people asking for gold. It does kind of go to orange, and then gold is not all that far off of orange. We wanted it to be differentiatable as the power went up. We can look at some changes there, but for now, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a priority to change that.
I think it should pulse, actually. The more supercharged it gets, until it's just like, flashing rapidly.
So instead of being unable to differentiate it, we'll just
tank the performance.
Tank the performance and get everyone who has any sort of epileptic issues to just not
nice and it wouldn't be fast pulsing. I mean, to just be like a big blurry glow, like a bloom. I think we turn the bloom up and down on it. I'm only half kidding. It could look pretty cool.
Our poor frames.
Okay, moving on. This next question here, also from Emote. If I load a saved formation, but my Modron is set to a different formation, could the Modron at least try to use the saved specializations of the loaded formation anyway? It's tedious to have to switch the Modron to a different formation and then load that formation, then switch the Modron back to the previous one.
That does sound tedious. I think one of the issues here is that specializations are not saved with formation saves. They are saved with the Modron, and I think that is something that it might be a good idea to finally look at adjusting and get everything just saved with the formation save rather than saved with the Modron, or at least I don't know. I don't remember the specifics of the last time we discussed this, but we definitely discussed this.
It was tricky because you don't necessarily want the formation to automatically pick the specializations unless something is automating it. So like if you're running it and you're not Modron automating it, then who's to decide whether or not you want that, because you have a previous specialization saved with the formation, that should be selected rather than give you the choice, right? So you need some way of saying, please be using this or not. And the way we were allowing that to happen was that by having the formation on the Modron, that was the choice of let the Modron select it for me rather than give me the choice.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Yeah, you're right. Because if we just saved specializations to save formation, then you do. How do you differentiate between, like you're saying, the situation where you want it to use the formations or the specializations, and when you don't want it to use the specializations?
Yeah, and I think there was another sort of option, or not option, but added benefit to the Modron was that it allowed that particular functionality to happen rather than having it be built right in. Because I know there was one iteration of the specialization dialog that I had worked on where it's had the previous selected one and it was on a little timer bar, and it let you choose, or if the bar ran out, it just automatically selected the previous one, so you could leave it. Although we didn't end up using that particular implementation.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably something we can do. I can see a lot of kind of suggestions going through chat here. There's probably something we can do there. I do agree. It would be nice if that was a little bit less tedious.
Yeah, we almost need like a specialization slot or that you can assign a familiar to. And then that's what triggers it. So if it's on the formation, then the familiar does automatically selects the one that's on the formation or the previous one that you selected.
That's not a bad idea. I do like things that require familiars. Well, we'll think about that. It's a good question and some good discussion there.
Okay. I highlighted this question and I was looking through the stats. So this is a question here from Volkus asking about statistics that we might be tracking. And I highlighted it because I looked at the stats that he's listed here, which I'll read out in a second. And I think we aren't tracking any of them.
We are tracking 1, 2, 3 of these, I think.
So the question was, are you tracking some fun statistics like total boars killed, potions used, time played, gems earned, areas finished, count of mouse clicks, average familiars, or item level per player, or something like that?
So I definitely know we track the total boars killed, and not the count of mouse clicks, but the count of mice clicked. No, just kidding. We do not track those ones. I think the ones we track here are times played. I believe we track total gems earned.
But that's not times played. That's time played.
No, I think we track time played.
You sure? Because I know we track times played.
I think we track total time. I mean, we try. It's impossible to do because
Are you sure?
The client and server. I think so.
I don't know.
I feel like I wrote some code that did that like 5 or 6 years ago. I'd have to look at the stats table.
Yeah, well, we definitely don't track the total number of potions used.
No.
Or the total number of gems earned. Or the areas finished. Yeah.
Total gems earned we might track.
All right. Anyway,
that feels like one we could track.
Sort of a side note on this is actually there are a handful of stats that we would have liked to have been tracking from the get-go. I know one of the things that we did in Crusaders was we had a stats page that had basically all of sort of the stats made viewable to the player, and we didn't think to get something like that in Champions early on enough, and so we actually went quite a period, I think at least a year, where those stats that we would have liked to show weren't tracked, which left us in the position of, do we start showing it now and say, this is the following stats as of when you joined, or some date, whichever is sooner is later. Yeah, and then I guess we kind of never got back to doing that. So some of those things would be fun to know, but I know a big chunk of them are missing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this all kind of goes back also to those would be really fun stats to track and display on the big collections dialogue update of 2027. That's that'd be really fun to see some of those numbers on there. But yeah, like you say, those they will not be complete.
Okay, here's a freebie. Mike Baldy asks, ETA on Dismantle System.
Oh, wow, there is an ETA on it. We we discussed it earlier in the show. I think Dave said that we were planning to release it early next week. He mentioned that there is a holiday here in Canada Land on Monday, so we don't want to release it today or tomorrow because we would like to be here for the first couple of days after it goes out, just in case there are any issues. So yeah, we're aiming for early next week. Knock on wood.
Yeah, because it is literally, it's right on the verge of being ready to go. We're final testing, but we weren't going to be able to get it out today, and so we definitely didn't want to get it out with too little time with us available to correct any issues that might arise. So, and especially for a system as important as that, if something goes wrong when taking the gear off of a champion, we want to be able to get that corrected ASAP. So.
Next question here is from OG17, who asks, can the party screen be widened to fit screen width? Currently, it only shows 3 at once and requires scrolling. There's room to show several more, I suppose, depending on the resolution you're at.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is the dialogue actually is it set at 720p? I think one of the sort of...
I believe so. I believe it caps out at 3. I think when you first load it, it's 1 width.
Oh, just the one? Okay.
It's just got the one the first time you load it, because I was testing this the other day, doing some tutorial testing. And then once you get 1 party, it widens to 2. And once you have 2 parties, or 1 extra party, it widens to 2. And then once you have 2 extra parties, it widens to 3. And then it just kind of sits there. So.
Right. And we've gone ahead and made it now. Now that you have 4 parties, this is a problem that we've created.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I wonder if from the height of it, can you fit them 2 up? Could we do them 4 in a large panel? Yeah, it might need some thought on making maybe some of the stats on that more visible, because I start to wonder sort of the underlying question on that may be actually a request to see the state of all of them in one screen rather than necessarily be able to switch between them. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we might be able to look at that and sort of make the important information on those displayed in a more concise way that could fit more of them on the screen at once. But I mean, this is a new issue, and we'll watch it carefully and see if it makes sense to adjust the way that display works. So.
Yeah.
Next question.
Next question here
is from Izokith. That's what I'm reading. Will there be more Drow characters?
Yes, I think. I'm pretty sure. I would be surprised if we were able to go a couple of years without having another Drow character. I don't have the specifics on which Drow character, but yes, there will be more Drow characters.
Well, I think the opposite answer would be no, never. So, I mean, I think that was probably not true. So,
I can't say 100% for certain that there will be more Drow characters, but I can say that it is a fairly popular race or sub-race. And so, I'm pretty sure there will.
Yeah. But on that note, I don't believe there are any in the hopper right now, right?
I would have to double check. I know we've got 4 or 5 champions that are out of design and into implementation or even finished implementation, and I cannot recall off the top of my head if any of them are Drow. I could go look for you. Why don't I just go look while you answer the next question?
Sure.
The next question is from Vavcast, and they say, I am getting a loading user message in the middle of the screen often. It would be good to know what it does if the game shows it to me so much.
So I mean, that's a curious question. I'm not just thinking now what would cause the loading user. Typically that happens when you load your account. I wonder if that's loading between the active parties. Yeah, I bet you that's what would be causing that. I guess kind of the follow-ups on that is this a new occurrence? Is this something that's happened, say, since adding a 4th party or a 3rd party? Because I think the way that it's set up it does keep the data for your other parties loaded, but only up to only up to 2 at a time. So it is possible that we've increased it and now if it's switching between them, it's loading. Yeah, I can check with Peter and see how that's set up. But I think that's what would be causing that loading user message to come up. When the loading user message comes up, it shouldn't show unless there's a significant delay in actually getting that data. But it is possible if the data for the user load is large enough or slow enough that it might have a delay on it that's just too short. Because I think, I don't know what the default on that would be set to, but it's probably set to just a couple of seconds. And so if the loading user call is taking more than a couple of seconds, then that's why that's popping up. So that's my current guess, is it's going to be loading multi-party data and that it's taking longer than 3 to 5 seconds, which is probably what the time is set to on that. And so we can either increase that or we should do both. We should either look into increasing that, but we should also look into why that might be taking a significant amount of time. And then also watch to see if other players are seeing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving on. Next question here. And actually, before I do that, did you check? Did you find out?
So I checked the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 champions that I know the race of, and it doesn't look like any of them are drow. Oh, okay. So
well, why not, Justin? What do you have against the drow?
I don't like that they worship a spider god of death. It really kind of I'm not a big fan of spiders.
I, on the other hand, I like
okay.
spiders. They're kind of cute, and they're fuzzy and a big fuzzy tarantula.
Well,
right.
you can worship the spider goddess.
Anyway, next question. This one is from Mikimaru. Oh gosh.
That was close. I think that was really close.
Mikimarushu.
Sure.
Any news on when we are getting the rest of the Black Dice Society characters in the game, along with Tatiana and Desmond?
Yeah, I think there are some Black Dice Society champions coming up pretty soonish. I think I might have seen a Black Dice Society champion in the next in those 6 while I was looking through them. Maybe.
I don't know that you're allowed to spoil any of that, Justin.
I said maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not. Who knows? What's a Black Dice Society champion? I'm just kidding. Let's go on to the next question. From OG17, they asked, the Modron Magic Core icon does nothing to suggest magic. Could it be given swirls, etc.?
Okay. Admittedly, I can't remember what that core looks like.
Is it the frowning one? I don't remember what we did for that one either. I would have to go and look through the channel.
All right. Well, what we can do is we can provide this as feedback. I'm gonna just tag this and we'll send this over to Alexis and see what she has to say about that.
No, it's the frowny kind of and I think that's just to indicate that magic is really boring and puts people to sleep.
Okay. Well, we'll check with Alexis and we'll see if that's what she was going for. But I can't make any promises.
Yeah. Okay. Next question from JL Crowell, who asks, can you link the game on Steam to your phone to play on the go?
So no. And so this is a question we actually got this question quite a bit earlier on, but I haven't had it in a while. But generally speaking, there are some limitations between the platforms that prevent us from linking accounts across. It's against their platform rules. Some of them are more permissive than others. Like Steam, for example, is a very permissive platform, but iOS, on the other hand, not quite so much. But rather than having a big list of sort of exceptions of these ones allow it and these ones don't, we've simply opted to just not allow inter-platform connectivity for your game accounts. So unfortunately, no. That is not something that we support. Okay. Here's a question from HFB Pereira. Pereira. Why do I get the hard? I'm just going to start labeling these.
We're into season 2 now, year 2 of the.
They're making the names harder. They're doing it on purpose.
We need to do that supercut episode of just you trying to pronounce question askers' names. I think it would be very entertaining. I would personally enjoy that. My birthday's in October. Come on.
HFB Pereira. They're going to have to tell me how to do this in the chat. Anyway, the question is, why are all the animations in the game painfully slow?
That's a great question. Let me flip that around on you, Dave. Why are all the animations in the game so painfully slow?
I don't feel that they are. Is there something in particular that's... I think maybe once you've put a few speed potions going, if you go back to normal, then things feel like you're really you've gone from rabbit to turtle mode, but... I don't know how fast you walk, but they're a fairly typical walking pace.
They're also, you got to admit, they're it's a marathon, not a sprint for these walkers. For when they're walking left to right all day for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 10 days a week in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. I hope they've got good boots. I don't know that's necessarily a good answer to the question, but. If there was anything in any specific animation that you felt was slow, I'd certainly be curious to know. But nothing stands out to me off the top of my head as being painfully slow. But
yeah, let us know in chat if there's something specific that you're referring to with this question. HFB Pereira.
Yep.
Next question here from JDog2773. Who asks, is there a reason that patch releases appear to be significantly delayed on your own CNE launcher platform compared to Steam and Epic?
That's a good question. I'll have to check with Peter and see what he's doing in terms of rolling those out. My guess is that it's just not in the same cadence when he releases to the Steam and Epic builds, that he must be holding off on the launcher till those other ones have been tested and determined to be in a stable position, which we do before we then roll out to the other platforms. There's nothing that's standing in the way of updating to the CNE launcher, but my guess is it's just not immediately on Peter's radars as the platform to push to when pushing quick fixes. But
yeah, I think it's just a timing thing. I think pushing to any platform takes a certain amount of time, and so I think when we're just trying to push something out to fix an issue we caused in an earlier version, or to get a new feature out just to sort of make sure it's working, I think we generally go to Steam and Epic first because they're super easy to push to, and then the other platforms kind of come after because every single one of them takes more time. So
yeah, that said, the CNE one is a fairly straightforward one because it's a modified version of the Steam build. A few changes to the settings and then zipped up and pushed out, but it does add to the deploy time for sure.
Yeah, takes a bit of time. And I think Peter would rather be kind of reviewing community feedback from the first couple of pushes at that point. Next question from Hernst42. They ask, will the 3-hour wild offer rotation come back sometime?
Yeah, for sure. So the 3-hour wild offer rotation is something we call a wild offer storm, and we like to run those from time to time as kind of a sale mechanic. And while I don't have a schedule on when the next one will be run, we certainly like to run them on a regular cadence. So sometime in the future, definitely be coming back.
Yeah, I think there's one coming up soonish.
You're just going to spoil everything, Justin.
I saw some inkling. There was a weather report. We actually last time we did them, we called them a wild offer atmospheric river, just to be, hip with the times and the current lingo. That's a joke that only people in the West Coast will get. Anyway, yeah. So there'll be another one at some point soon.
Soon, TM. Okay. Next question here is from OC Ghost. I assume that's for overclocked ghost, and that's what happens when you push the voltage up too high.
I thought it was a Disneyland ghost and the Orange County ghost.
Oh. Well, that's Disney World, right? Or wait, no, you're wrong. You're right. I'm wrong. Never mind.
All those things happen from time to time.
New Modron endpoint effect tooltip. Why the at 500 get nothing, why not at 1,000 get 25 would be less convoluted?
Yeah, so this is a good question. We kind of went a bunch of different ways on the tooltip there, and ended up on the one that we ended up with. So for people wondering, the way that the Modron Supercharge works is that every time your power doubles over 500, you get a 25% bonus. And that was kind of the most concise way to say it. Now, it does require a little bit of thing to be like, well, you don't get anything at 500. You get your first 25% at 1,000. And then you get your second 25% at 2,000, and then 4,000, 8,000, 16,000. It just doubles every time it doubles after that. We started out trying to say like at 1,000 you get 25, and then you get 25 more every time it doubles, but it ended up just being more words, and I don't know. It felt a little bit less clean and concise than just saying every time it doubles over 500. You get the 25%, because that kind of includes all of the times it doubles, as opposed to there being kind of a special case for the first time that you get that 25%. So, maybe there's a better way to say that, but that's the one that we ended up on.
Fair enough. Next question here is from Mike Baldy. How come tank health and gold nodes can't be supercharged, even at a lower rate?
Yeah, so the tank health one can't be supercharged because we think that tanks have enough health. As we've kind of mentioned a couple of times, the health scaling quite quickly outclasses healing scaling and enemy damage scaling. So we didn't really want to introduce more health. It's also kind of a little bit easier to sort of try and get all the nodes supercharged when there's some that you can kind of safely ignore. So that's kind of a minor bonus of that. The gold nodes was just kind of a design call to just focus on the DPS nodes, to keep it straightforward, or simple and straightforward that way. So for now, we're not doing just DPS nodes. Gold nodes could be one that we do in the future, but for now we're just kind of focused on the DPS stuff, because DPS is a fairly safe thing for us to increase. Whereas I get nervous about health and gold and some of the speed nodes and whatnot.
Okay. The next question here is from Raphael 9340. Yep, that's how that is. Definitely 9340. During today's Q&A, we were looking at CNE Original Champions. Any chance that you guys could add an affiliation tag to CNE Originals?
Yeah, so I think we talked about this before, and it probably is something that we should do. I actually think that there already is a CNE tag. It just doesn't actually display anything in the affiliation in the client. So yeah, I mean that certainly could be something we add. It's kind of since there's no real synergies between the CNE originals, and there's not intended to be any synergies between the CNE originals, it's probably not there right now because it has really no real impact on the game. The only thing it would do if we added it in would be to change up how some of the I think there's like 1 or 2 champions that have abilities that are based on affiliation or no affiliation. So that's really the only thing it would change right now. I think the interesting thing would be to display somewhere, maybe not in the affiliation, that they are a CNE original. So one of the ideas that we had way back when we first launched the game was to have sort of an in-world bio and an out-of-world bio as 2 sort of separate data pieces. And the in-world bio would be like, this character was born in this town in Faerun and adventured this way. And then the other sort of out-of-world bio would be like, this character was created by so-and-so, and they did it in this tabletop campaign, or this thing, sort of where they came from in the real world and who created them. And so I think that would be where I would put information like this, rather than kind of confusingly having it as an affiliation tag. Yeah, I think that type of feature probably wouldn't come until we did basically a reorganization of the profile tab, because there's not really a good place to put it right now. We could certainly just append it to the bio that is displayed there, but I think we'd like to find a better way to do that. So that is that. It's a really good question. Definitely something that we've thought about in the past.
Okay. Just going through the doc here and highlighting more questions. Lots of great questions today.
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
Next question here is from Rysong 10. Has there been any thought to possibly raising the level cap?
Yes. We have a soft cap increase planned for, I want to say soon.
TM again?
Soon TM. Sooner than Trials changes, but not as soon as Wild Offer Storms. I don't know. Somewhere in that range. So just for people who might not know what this question refers to, so there is a kind of soft cap on champions. There's no like hard level cap where you can't level them up anymore, but there is a point at which they stop providing upgrades as you level them up, and that's kind of the soft cap where their damage and support abilities kind of cap out. It's currently, I think it's around like E to the 70 something gold, maybe 80 something. And we generally update that, just add some more upgrades at the top tier for champions a couple of times a year. And we are planning to do one of those, I believe, whatever update we are going to get the Briv and human changes in, we'll be doing a soft cap increase then. Yeah, I'm just saying E to the 77, 78-ish in chat there. That sounds about right.
All right. Next question is from Fewer Pills. With Briv counting Modron XP at the end of the run and Nordrum counting it after every stage, Nordrum seems to miss the XP that Briv gives the core. Is this working like intended, or should he also increase the skipped areas XP?
That is a good question. I saw it and I went and checked out the design for him, and unfortunately the design does not make reference to what it should do for skipped areas. So this is obviously, since the design didn't reference it, it was not implemented to do anything for skipped areas. So this is something that we're gonna have to look at and make a call on. And if we decide that skipped areas should be increased, then we will certainly implement that. And if we decide that Briv just doesn't like Nordum or vice versa, then we will not implement that. But ask this in a couple of weeks, and I'll let you know what we decided on.
Okay.
Next question. I'll pronounce this name from Ghostwalker71. Bam, that's how you do it. They're asking, can we get an option to export and import formations to share with friends?
Yeah, I'm glad you got that one. I never would have been able to pronounce that.
No, that's a tough one. That GH, what sound does that even make?
Hostwalker? Hostwalker.
Hostwalker?
Anyway, the question, of course, which was, can we get an option to export and import formations to share with friends? This was kind of an interesting question. We don't really have a good way in-game to share your formations with people. And it might be worth having something to allow that, or, get that into the Discord. I know people, take screenshots and post that sort of thing. And I can imagine some of those third-party tools that exist probably do read that data. But it seems like it could be a useful feature to have. I think it would require a little more thought. I don't know if you had any immediate feelings on it, Justin, but it does feel like a nice to have kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about doing similar type things in the past. A way to like share a code and the whole formation builder thing, which was on the plate, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago before it got set aside. So yeah, I mean, I think that kind of thing would be super useful.
Cool. All right, let's move on.
Okay, the next question's from Foolish Genius 89. I'm nailing these names. Can we please get an option to make Bud larger? It is very tiny on screen on console view and can be scrolled off screen in certain cursor positions. I suppose that's true because of the way that the
so to make your Bud larger, you just have to do more. Wait. No, I don't have it up in front of me, obviously, or of course, but certainly we could take a look at that. It's hard to read. It doesn't sound good. And this whole being scrolled off screen in certain cursor positions sounds like you know what they're talking about with that, Justin.
So yeah, in the console UI, if you'll recall, it's got sort of the bar where the ultimates are, and then it also has the notifications and stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you scroll all the way over to the right, I think the bar just kind of pushes the Bud off to the left, because the Bud's always just to the left of your first unlocked ultimate. So I think that's what's going on there.
Okay. Well, we'll tag that to take a look at it.
Sure.
Okay, next question is from Mike Baldy. Was it a conscious decision to have no health nodes and significantly more damage nodes on the Magic Core? The disparity is such that even melee and range champions tend to get the biggest damage boost to damage from the Magic Core rather than others.
Yeah, so yes, it was a conscious decision to have this core be significantly more powerful. It is, in order to unlock this core, you do have to do split the party 3, which requires you to have 4 champions in every slot, and a lot of other stuff. So yeah, it was definitely a decision to make this core more powerful than the other cores. Certainly it is, it's not every situation that it's going to be better than every other core, but there are definitely a lot of situations where it will, and certainly for any magic dealing champion, especially ones that have Wiz Int and Charisma 13 plus, it is a very, very good core, and will give you the biggest bonuses by far. There will, like I've been saying, there will be more cores in the future. Certainly I wouldn't be surprised to see a melee core and a ranged core at some point, and I would expect those cores to be best for melee and ranged champions. And then who knows, maybe you'll see other cores. Maybe you'll see a Champions of the Hall core that has bonuses that are very specific to Dritz and the other Champions of the Hall. Maybe there'll be other cores like that. Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe there'll be an Apple core and it'll run natively on your M1. Anyway.
Maybe there'll be a hardcore. Maybe there'll be...
Maybe we'll move on to the next question instead, we'll move on to the next which is from Raphael 9340. Any plans to add more patrons to the game, or are we only getting 4?
Yes, so that's a good question. There are plans to add more patrons to the game. One of the big changes we want to make before we add another patron is just some way of controlling for the number of patron challenges that you get each week. Right now there are 10 challenges in every patron. That's 40 challenges to do per week. Some of those challenges are super annoying. And we would like to make sure that when we add an additional core that we are not increasing your workload essentially for your homework of the patron challenges each week. So that is something that we're focused on before, or most likely concurrently with releasing a 5th patron. But definitely, patrons are a great way for us to extend the lifespan of the existing content, and so that's something we will absolutely do more of.
Okay. Next question here is from Vladimir Nightroad. My speed core source tells me the active outputs. My modest core does not. Is this a design or bug?
I'm going to flip a coin, but I'm going to guess that is bug.
Does sound like a bug.
That is a
tag
bug. That is a bug.
Okay.
Sorry, I've been looking through these. I haven't looked through these questions here yet, but let's just keep on going with the ones.
Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so.
Oh my gosh, there are a lot of questions today. Holy crow, 71 questions. The next question is from Ghostwalker71. Hey, I got it again. Can we have a menu to edit a formation without needing to load it into an active party? Hey, that sounds a lot like that thing I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I know we actually put some design effort into about 2 years ago, and it never ended up getting done. But it is still a cool idea that I feel like we should at some point support, just because. I mean, it's a handy feature to have. I think the one we had discussed at the time was a formation builder type tool that would actually let you lay out the formation, see what kind of damage it was going to do, and I think potentially play with trying in champions that you didn't have, and or setting up equipment that you didn't have yet, just to see how much impact that would make, sort of to guide your decisions on sort of, you know, which champions to unlock next, etc. So I really do like that idea. I don't know that it's something that we can prioritize right at this moment, but I'd love to see that get in there at some point in the future.
Oh, that's interesting. So the core thing, according to chat, they know more about this than we do. It only works. It'll only show the active bonuses or the bonuses when it is the core running in your active party.
That makes sense.
Sounds like something we could fix, and to make it work everywhere. But yes, I like the formation builder. I think the formation builder may very well be your collection screen update. I've got my collection screen update. You've got the formation builder. We'll fight to see which of those comes out first. But I do. I mean, I designed the formation builder thing that you just talked about, so that would be really cool as well. Do you want to do one more question, or do you want to wrap it up?
No, let's do 42.
Okay. Shevik74. Why are all of these names ending in numbers? Asks, copper chests when?
So the copper chest is scheduled to come after the aluminum chest, after the bronze chest, after the zinc chest, but before the Nordic gold chest. So we don't actually have an ETA on any of those. But look for those first, and that's when the copper chest is coming.
Did you bring up a periodic table to check which elements are before and after, or are you just kind of...
No, I'm just making it up off the top of my head.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot the tin chest. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's all the time we have. As always, if we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry, you will have another opportunity. We will be live again at this same time next week, hopefully, as long as neither of us are sick. Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods, Martin and a weary but devoted Mars, who himself has been under the weather this week. So they're the ones who copy your questions into our question doc, and generally make things awesome. So thanks, guys.
And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, asking great questions, and enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here could do or would get to do what we do.
That's correct. We'd have to do something else.
Anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Do you have a hot mic outro? Did you write one down?
I have nothing. You wrote the script this week. You're supposed to do it.